fitness level, but also then how to make the most of that time you spend exercising. But I will go for a moment and go into a little bit about Molly and I. So we are sisters, and we'll let you guess who's older, who's younger, but there's only 11 months difference, so, you know, it doesn't matter too much. But we, in a roundabout way, ended up back in Terre Haute, starting a business together called Common Ground CrossFit and Yoga. Basically, we started doing this. I was a yoga junkie, and she was a CrossFit junkie, and we kind of had our different modalities. And then I started doing some cross training secretly, not telling her, because she was like an all-star CrossFitter, and I was just doing, you know, my little thing. And she secretly started doing yoga because she had some hip issues and some different injuries she was working, trying to rehab. And one Christmas vacation, we kind of got to talking about how we were really just feeling good, strong, and just, you know, overall fitness level like we never had it before. And we finally, you know, kind of admitted that we'd been doing each other's modalities, and we're like, this is the thing. Like, putting these two things together can really create what we would consider optimal fitness, because you're getting strength, and for other reasons we'll talk about in this presentation, but then also maintaining the flexibility, the balance, keeping your joints healthy and your muscles happy. And so we just got so passionate about it, and we had the opportunity to share it as Common Ground, and that's what we've been doing for the last 5 years. Molly, you want to talk a little bit about like where you went to school, like what you do?
So I went to Hanover. I played college basketball there, and then ended up getting into exercise science, and then even kind of switched a little bit more into a study of what we called health and movement. So it was a what they would call kind of exercise science light. So I was still getting a lot of the anatomy and physiology, but really moving into a wellness kind of coaching aspect as well. So really learning how to train different populations, both young and older. And it was a really just kind of, I think, a well-rounded program to get me ready to do what I was most passionate about, which was personal training. So kind of started in the personal training field, and then got really into the CrossFit side of things, and loving more of like the group classes, things like that, but still able to find a way in CrossFit to make it for everyone, which I think is something that people find hard to believe or even see, but it really can be. What you hear about CrossFit, what you maybe see on TV, if you've ever seen it, is not what we do at Common Ground.
What is CrossFit?
And CrossFit is just, it is all kinds of fitness. It is everything from weight training to body weight to cardio pieces. It's everything all combined into one. And what makes CrossFit work is the functional movements at high intensity that are constantly varied, which we will kind of get into a little bit more as we go through this presentation. And just again, getting everyone to realize that it really can be for everyone.
And this has definitely been a career change for me. And I will admit that today, you know, most of this presentation, I'm relying heavily on Molly and her background and her degree. But I went to Butler University and studied business. So I have a degree in business and a minor in social justice. So nothing to do with yoga, except for that I've been practicing yoga since I was about 15 years old. So I now have almost 20 years of yoga experience. I became certified as a yoga teacher in 2011. And I've now done multiple yoga teacher certifications or trainings. And this is my second studio. I owned a studio back in Ohio where I lived for a short time. And yeah, so being back here with Molly and getting to combine passions has been an absolute blessing, and definitely a shift that I never expected. But I get to wake up and do what I love every day and do it with family. So that's awesome. We are so excited to be here today to talk to you guys about this, because as Molly mentioned, our passion is really just making sure that everyone knows that it doesn't matter when you start, fitness is for everyone, right? There's a way, if there's a will, there's a way. That's kind of our motto. So there's so many ways to make it accessible, even in a pandemic, which we'll talk about a little bit today. And we started Common Ground because we wanted to break that perception of kind of what somebody who's into fitness has to look like, or there's kind of a perception of CrossFitters being like big, bulky weightlifters, and there's a perception of, you know, having to be super flexible to even start or take a yoga class, and that is just not true. So we try to really bust through those barriers, and we are all about real life fitness here. We want to help people create lifelong fitness habits. You know, now that we've been doing this for long enough, you know, our lives are very different. We have families now. We don't have as much time to focus necessarily, focus in on gym time. It's, you know, life just changes. So it's about keeping the work consistent so that you can maintain no matter what life throws at you, even coronavirus. But first, we wanted to hear a little bit as a way to kind of get to know you guys a little bit, is we want to throw out a question, and you don't have to answer, just, you know, anybody that wants to volunteer to answer. Yeah. When was the last time you moved, like did some exercise? What did you do, and for how long did you do it? Anybody willing to?
I think I heard someone.
Yes, this is David. This morning, I'm taking water aerobics class.
Ooh, fun.
Which is a lot of fun. Yes.
Love
I
it.
recommend it.
So is that just when you're in the water, is it just working with your body weight, or do they have the fun little weights that you can use underwater and stuff like that?
We do both. We have the water weights, and also this last Monday we used one of those small paddle.
Ooh, paddle boards.
Yeah.
Where are you? No, I think paddles maybe
just like
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, no, it's a small one. We move back and forth.
Okay.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Resistance. And they're doing that at the ISU Student Rec Center.
Oh,
because
fun.
it's an Ollie class.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's awesome.
And how long is that class, David?
It's an hour each every 2 days.
Awesome. Okay. Wonderful. Good for you. Anyone else willing to share?
Yes, I kind of worked out yesterday because of another Ollie class that I am in with David and some other people, thanks to Michelle. She's trying to keep us fit, as you've obviously noticed, and
Excellent.
thank you very much, Michelle.
And what kind of class is it, Sharon?
It's an ABSS. Help me here.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's through the ISU physical therapy, the doctoral students in the ISU physical therapy program are teaching it. But A stands for aerobic, and B for balance, and S for strength, and then there's another S for, I don't know, struggle or savvy or something.
Success, maybe?
That's much better than the ones I came up with. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
But yeah, what they're doing is they're setting us up with programs that we can do on our own at home, which is good because a lot of us are pretty much stuck right now.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Anybody else want to offer up?
It could be as small as just going for a walk or
Bonnie?
Yeah. Can I talk back?
Yes, of course.
Talk loud. Talk loud. Okay. Mine is more of a functional kind of thing. I made it necessary that I had to exercise. I have a huge German Shepherd.
Oh.
So every morning, 7:30, rain or shine, we get out and take a brisk mile walk, mile in a little bit, and then every afternoon we have that also.
Same, twice a day. Awesome.
Twice a
That's
day,
great.
At least a mile.
Okay, and about how long does that take you?
Well, we go brisk and then we stop and smell.
Okay,
Brisk and stop and
that's
smell.
good.
So I would say 30-35 minutes.
Okay.
Each time.
Okay. So Now then, let's maybe ask if anybody, this is probably even a harder question. So for those of you that haven't responded with what you did to move or exercise recently, what is your barrier? What's stopping you from doing that? Is it the pandemic and not being able to do group fitness for any reason? Is it being stuck in your home and that kind of making you feel like you don't have a lot of opportunities? Anybody willing to share a barrier?
Mostly pandemic.
Pandemic, meaning that you don't feel comfortable leaving your home.
Well, I used to go to Silver Sneakers exercise program twice a week, and I don't anymore, but I walk.
Excellent. Okay. Well, we're going to give you some ideas for being in your home and working out, Rebecca. Awesome. Well, thank you for letting us know that. We're going to come back around to this stuff a little later, but we wanted to do that little icebreaker. Okay, so the next slide. Oh, I'm controlling the slide. Sorry. Well, we have a question for you. You know that already. Okay, so 5 reasons that it's important to exercise as we age. And these are, you guys are all, I know, lifelong learners, right? So this is not going to be a lot of, super new information for you. And as you already heard from our bios, neither one of us are doctors, but we're going to give you some more information on that. And then we're going to get into our specialty, kind of the second half of this presentation, where I think we will, through our expertise, be able to give you some new information. But the first one being that it prevents disease. Studies have shown that maintaining physical activity can help prevent injury, common diseases, and improve immunity. Improve mental health. This is a big one as a yogi that I believe that just getting up and moving can change the trajectory of not only your day, but your week and your life. So exercise produces endorphins, happy hormones that are linked to and is also linked to improving sleep. Molly's going to get into this a little bit on the next slide, but decreased risk of falls. This is where she becomes very passionate. It improves strength and flexibility, balance, and coordination. And she has a whole nother slide on that because she's got to step up on her soapbox and preach a little. The next one is social engagement. Now, this is one that's difficult during a pandemic because I know a lot of us are at home, but there are some ways that you can still bring the social aspect into it. And really glad that there's still opportunities for some of you. It sounds like you are going out and doing some group classes. If you feel comfortable doing that, please continue doing it. It's so important to maintain social engagement. Even if you have to, quarantine at home for a little bit, or there's some reason that you get out of it, really make a commitment and remind yourself of why it's so important for you to go and do that and get back into it. That's one really difficult thing about the pandemic right now. If you are going out, is that you might find yourself having to stay home for a couple of weeks and then you can go out. And it's very hard to build up that strength to keep restarting a habit right when you've just gotten into it. So acknowledge that that's difficult and then make the commitment to keep going. The last one, and this is just really interesting. There's so much out there, but it improves cognitive function. So studies show that a lot lower risk for dementia for physically active people, and this is the best part, regardless of when you begin your routine. So it's not like it's ever too late. You can get that benefit no matter what. So Molly would now like to talk to you a little bit about bone density.
So guys, it doesn't matter what age of a person that walks into one of my classes. This is something that I like to preach to people and talk about, even to my younger clients, middle-aged clients, and my older clients. It's never too late to focus on, healthy bone density. And again, what healthy bone density, the longevity in life that it can give you, and the quality of life. So again, guys, we're born with a certain amount of bone density. We, in the younger ages, can increase that. Once we get into the older ages, guys, it's all about maintaining it. It's about not letting our bone density numbers, which I'm not going to bore you with how all that works, but not letting those drop. And the main way we focus on that, guys, is in staying physically active, the ability to move our own body weight, flexibility even helps with bone density, and then most importantly, and if we can still do it, is adding weight training to our regimen to help maintain our bone density. And the main thing with the quality of life that bone density leads into is fractures. Okay? As we get older, the increased risk of falling, breaking bones, mainly being the hip, and how that can really decrease quality of life, leading to having to be, more taken care of in assisted living. It can lead to infections, even more serious diseases like pneumonia or cardiovascular diseases from being laid up for a long period of time. So again, as I tell my classes, when we work on the dreaded movement of burpees, so getting down onto the ground and being able to get back up, that is the key to life. It really is. It is the key to being able to stay independent, and have a long quality of life of, can we get on the floor and can we get back up without hurting ourselves? It really is that simple. That's all we need to maintain to be able to have a long, healthy, happy life. On top of some other things, but that's a big one, is just that ability of the functional movement of being able to get to the floor and be able to get back up. And not only does that include a lot of Kelsey's side of things, yoga, flexibility, range of motion, but a lot of it comes down to strength as well. Can we, move our body with control? So that is why I like to tell people with bone density, it's not only exercise, healthy diet, and then also, focusing on, getting your numbers tested, knowing where your bone density is, and working on, especially if we're at a certain age for men and women over 50, maintaining our bone density, not so much increasing our bone density.
When Molly started talking to me about this, the kind of facts that she was telling me about hip fractures just really blew my mind. It really is kind of the linchpin that can then go and create this snowball effect of just quality of life going way down. Just throw one of those out there. I know she didn't.
When we get into talking about, if we fall and fracture our hip, it's the statistics out there are 1 in 3 adults age 15 over die within 12 months of suffering from a hip fracture. Adults have a 5 to 8 times higher risk of dying within the first 3 months of a hip fracture. So it just highlights the importance of balance, strength, and proper nutrition. Just making sure, coming from even us who had a grandmother who fractured her hip twice, just watching the quality of life, who I trained her, was working with her, and it really it can really set you back and just cause a lot of issues if we don't focus on healthy bones.
Right, and having that available, so having that habit and that structure around the hip of healthy muscles, or strong muscles, and strong a good range of motion, so that if something does happen and you were to fracture a hip, you've already got this nice padding for you to then be able to recover a little bit more easily. So not to scare you, we just want to make sure that it's evident how just vital it is to do what a lot of you guys are already doing, and then that it's never too late to start. Yes. If you feel like you really are that you really haven't been able to do anything for a long time. So given the times that we're in now, we really wanted to take a moment and talk about how exercise can boost immunity. So there's a lot of ways you can boost immunity that I have here on the screen. So not smoking, eating a healthy diet, maintaining a healthy weight, lower alcohol consumption, adequate sleep, minimizing stress. But exercise is a huge part of this. So I'm going to talk to you about a recent study. And again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm going to read this off of our sheet here because it's a lot of information, but I'm going to give it to you slowly. So this all came from the results of a 2019 scientific review that looked at acute exercise, meaning that of moderate to vigorous intensity lasting less than an hour. So here are the three things that they saw. That typically people only have a small, or here are the three things that we know. People only have a small number of immune cells circulating around the body. These cells like to hang out in the lymph node tissues and the organs where the body kills viruses, bacteria, and other microorganisms that cause disease. Because exercise increases blood flow and the lymph flow as your muscles contract, it also increases the circulation of these immunity cells or these immune cells. So it makes them roam the body at a higher rate and at higher numbers. Okay, so that improves your immune response. That's what they found. Now, it also lowers the risk of illness. Exercise helps to recruit highly specialized immune cells, such as T cells, which we hear a lot about, and other types of cells that can help to fight pathogens like viruses and other illnesses. In this study, participants who took a 45-minute brisk walk experienced an uptick of immune cells that flowed around the body for up to 3 hours after the walk or the exercise. So you do get an immediate immune response, but that will eventually go away. So unless you continue to work out consistently, now that doesn't mean you have to work out every 3 hours, but as you have to work out consistently in order to maintain that boost in immunity. The people who did aerobic exercise 5 or more days a week lowered their number of upper respiratory tract infections like the common cold over a 12-week period by more than 40%. I'll say that again. So those who did aerobic exercise 5 or more days a week lowered the number of upper body respiratory tract infections over a 12-week period by more than 40%. That's pretty staggering.
Can you kind of explain specifically what you mean when you say aerobic? It's not just necessarily, what qualifies as aerobic? Is it a heart rate thing?
So there's a lot of different things you can do, but I'll have Molly.
So aerobic, yes, aerobic just means that we are increasing the heart rate for an extended period of time, whether that's interval or long duration. Yes, aerobic means it means that we are working the circulatory system versus anaerobic, where we're going for like a power output or a strength-based program. Which,
good question.
Again, strength, but they can overlap because again, strength can be turned into cardio or an aerobic type workout, but they can also be separated.
That's really the thing that I have found most interesting and efficient about CrossFit is that overlap where they take strength work and create it and turn it into an aerobic workout. So you get more bang for your buck. Okay, so if you move on a regular basis, your immune system is better prepared to wipe out sickness. This holds up even as you get older and according to the study. The last thing that I wanted to highlight today is that it reduces inflammation. And I'm sure through this program, you've heard a lot about inflammation in other presentations, but I could get on another soapbox for that. But another benefit of exercise is that it decreases inflammation in the body, which in turn can also improve immunity. In fact, some research like a 2004 study in the Journal of American Geriatric Society, it links decreased levels of inflammatory markers to those that exercise more often and have higher fitness levels. When the immune cells try to function with inflammation, it puts the immune system at a chronically inflamed state, which makes it harder to fight off infection. So if you cut down on inflammation, you kick up your activity level, and then your body's not fighting so hard when you actually do become ill. All right, well, that was a lot of fun facts. But the moral of the story, and that was a lot of new information for me too, is just that you need to move and you need to move often. Now, I will put a little caveat here in the pro tip there. Keep it to less than an hour. So if you do find yourself being able to do high intensity workouts, You don't want to do it for too long, especially in a time like now when there's a pandemic going on, because if your body is busy processing the lactic acids and other things that are produced because of working out intensely, then it could actually slightly lower your immunity because your body's fighting, or not fighting that, it's processing it. It's not a bad thing normally, but if in this time when we're all trying to stay like super healthy and make sure we have a good immune system, there's a happy medium. So that has to be very, very, very intense workout though.
And I think another thing to think of when we think move and move often is we tend to get so caught up in that our fitness has to look a certain way, or has to be a certain amount of time, or a certain style. And if we can just get our minds wrapped around that consistency, doing something every day, no matter the length, is better than, you know, doing something for, you know, an hour or 2 hours, and, you know, once or twice a week. Again, it's about getting yourself to do something every day versus not, you know, doing something every once in a while.
Yeah.
And again, keeping that consistency up, and that's how we are not going to lose the benefits of whatever we're gaining. So if we can stay consistent in building our strength, building our flexibility, building our balance, it is going to help alleviate all the things that can happen if we lose those things.
So now Molly's going to talk a little bit more about how to exercise effectively and efficiently. So we can talk about it more too, if maybe the barrier is just creating the willpower to work out a little bit more, or setting goals. We can definitely, please ask that question when we get to questions at the end, because we definitely have a lot of tips for that as well. But we want to make sure that you guys know how to exercise efficiently and effectively with what you have and what you're currently doing. So we've got some tips for you here.
So again, along with consistency, guys, making sure that we are incorporating functional movements. Okay, so even I preached about, doesn't matter what age, but especially for your guys' age group, it's all about everything being able to relate to what you do in everyday life. Okay, so again, you want these movements that we're choosing to do to help better the quality of the life that you are living. So functional movements are huge for you guys. They're huge for everyone, but especially for you guys. Again, we want to be able to, again, mainly be able to control our body weight, and then varying the work. So once we are able to work with just our body weight, again, maybe adding different aspects to our workout style. So maybe adding weights or other modalities to kind of, you know, make the working out a little more more fun, or and just to change it up. And then varying the intensity. So like I said, guys, it doesn't always have to be an hour. It can be 10 minutes. It could be 5 minutes. It could be 15. And then yes, one day it could be an hour. But again, changing up the intensity of your workout is going to help the body not adapt. And then we are always going to be seeing changes over time, which is what we want. If we constantly do the same thing over and over again at the same intensity, eventually the body is going to adapt and you're not going to benefit from it. You're not going to see any changes. So that's why we want to make sure that today we get a good understanding of how we can make intensity vary.
So Molly's going to talk a little bit more about functional movements, but you just reminded me when you were talking about this of a story that I want to stop and tell. But so Molly, when our grandmother moved into assisted living, I came in and I took her to Steinmart. We went a bunch of places. We decorated the place, and I'm getting it all ready. And Molly calls me. She's like, "How's it going?" I'm like, "It's awesome." She's ready to go. You know, it's going to be great. And she's like, "Well, I'm coming over." And so she comes over, and of course she doesn't care about what the room looks like at all. She's like, "Oh yeah, it's great, whatever." She got my grandmother and told her like numerous things, just took her around this place. Reach up to this shelf. Can you grab your cup, put it back down? She had her bring all the cups down and then put them all back up. She got a butter jar, a butter Tupperware thing out of the fridge and asked her to open it up. And if she couldn't do it, if she struggled, she figured out a way for her to do it. She had her get up and down from bed like 5 times, to the point, and that was actually really hard for her. And I was like, almost like, "Molly, you know, stop it." And she's like, "Well, she's going to have to do this at least twice a day." And so then she would go to her room a few, like once a week or so, and just work on her with these things. And it just blew my mind. I was just so proud of her. And at the same time, it was just showed me why what we do is so important and why I love seeing people that are older coming into the gym, into the studio to work on these functional movements.
Keeping your independence, I think, as we get older is one of the key things to also keeping your happiness. No one wants to be dependent, on someone having to care for them. So these functional movements can really help you keep, the longevity of your independence.
Or if you're already in assisted living, there's things that maybe you could gain back. Some things that would just make your day if you didn't have to have somebody come and do that for you. There's little ways where you can work towards gaining some of that back.
So when we're talking functional movements from the start, from the very basic, we're talking about our own body weight. So being able to manipulate our own body weight and control it in different planes. So, different planes we mean by being able to move the body forward, move the body backward, twist, all those things. So the functional movements that we really want to talk to you guys about today and also demonstrate different ways that you can do them are squatting, pulling, pressing, lunging, and then also core engagement.
So the next thing we gave you as a tip, and Molly kind of talked about this a little bit, but is vary the work. So make sure that, if one day you're just working with the body weight, then maybe another day you do cardio, and another day maybe you add light weights or an odd object around the house or whatever you've got around, but you vary the work. And this is where I'll also insert the importance of adding in flexibility and balance. So something like yoga or Pilates or Tai Chi, if you've got a class, if there's a class like that around here. But the benefits of those kind of things are just enormous. It strengthens the bones and can help prevent the onset of osteoporosis. It reduces stress, it improves sleep, and most importantly, it enhances your balance, your flexibility, your mobility, and your strength. So in yoga, and this is why I love it when like the CrossFitters come in and actually come do yoga, because there's things that just bring them to their knees and bring the tears, because it's just different muscle groups that they're not used to working, that aren't always in their regimen. So these just small, finer muscles around the hip, around the shoulders, and in the joint, and other places as well. And then that range of motion. So when, for instance, we sleep and we wake up and we feel stiff, that's because there's actually a little layer of it, and I've seen this actually on videos, but it's almost like a little layer of like cobwebs, kind of a silky material that comes in under your fascia, and it builds up even just in the time that you're sleeping. So if you sleep, like for instance, like this, and then you wake up and you go and you sit in a chair like this, it builds up and it builds up and it builds up, and you go back to sleep, shoulders down. You've got to be able to break up that I can't think of what it's called. It's under the fascia, but anyway, it builds up and builds up, and that's what slowly decreases our range of motion, along with some other things. But as we begin to open that up, we can literally take away the layers. And so it's another example of how it's never too late to begin again, right? So we can start now. We might be breaking up a lot of stiffness in shoulders, knees, hips, wherever, but you can maintain that and keep getting better and better and better. And then also you can vary the work by taking rest, which we also think is very important. So this is not something you have to do necessarily every single day. The last thing is in varying the intensity. So a lot of times we think of varying the intensity as having to move faster, and that is one way that you can do that. And that's kind of what I have here, is kind of thinking about the workouts that you're doing, the exercise and movement that you're doing, and thinking, what's my base pace for this? So for instance, when Bonnie goes out to walk with her dog, she said it takes about 30 to 35 minutes to walk a mile. Now that depends a little bit on your dog, as you said. But you can know that, okay, my base pace is when I'm just comfortable. I'm out for just an evening stroll and I could maintain this for quite some time. Push pace would then be, okay, I'm going to walk a little faster and my heart rate's going to go up a little bit, but you could still have a conversation. All out pace is how fast could I really kind of possibly go safely And at this point, you're giving it all you've got, and you would not be able to talk to somebody that you were with. And then you can kind of vary your workouts by saying, okay, I'm going to go 1 minute at my base pace, 1 minute at push pace, and then maybe 30 seconds at my all out pace, and then back to base. So there you've taken just like a regular walk, and you're kind of incorporating a good variety and intensity that will help you just kick that workout out a notch.
And then same thing kind of goes for, so that's the cardio aspect, same thing can kind of go for when we're doing weight bearing or strength bearing. How do we find ways to increase our intensity? So, we start with reps. So, we start with maybe 5 squats, and then those become really easy over a 2-week period or 3-week period. But then we can add it and bump it up to about 10. Then those become easy. We can get up to, we like to see, probably no more than that 15 to 20 range, especially for the age population that we're talking to right now. Once we get to that 15 and 20 and those reps become easy, and we're like, okay, this isn't very challenging anymore, then that's when we can start to think about adding in that weight bearing. So maybe grabbing, small things at the house, soup cans, jugs of water. You can get creative. If you have a bag or a backpack, you can fill that backpack with canned goods or different things to hold and add a little bit of weight. So again, that's how we can increase our intensity when it comes to the strength side of working out.
Reps and weight.
Reps and weight.
Yeah. And you can also vary the intensity by varying the duration, right? So if you do something for 10 minutes, or say you start by going for a walk for 10 minutes, because maybe you're not walking at all right now. So you start for a short amount of time, a walk around the block, or 5 minutes, and then you maybe go into 2 times around the block or 3 times, and slowly varying the intensity. And knowing that once you get to a point where you can go, multiple times around, or when you can add weight, that doesn't mean that you do it every single day, because you still want to vary the work. So the next time you might just do your weight again, or you might just go once or for 5 minutes. Okay, the next thing we want to do is talk about a home workout. So let's go back a little bit and just let's touch base with everybody. How is this sounding? Do you have questions as far as like where to get started? I guess what I want to make sure is that when we go and talk about this home workout, which is done with a chair, I don't want people to feel like that's not even possible for me. So do you have any questions right from the get-go? Is this sounding like maybe way too much already? Anybody have anything? So we can customize this to what is actually available to you. If not, we can just keep going. Okay.
So basically we want to take you through, if you want to participate, a quick little just sample of what a home workout with functional movements just today using your body weight could look like. So a way we can go about this, guys, is the home workout we are going to discuss with you today is kind of a classic workout that we do in CrossFit, and it's called Tabata, and it's interval style workouts. So meaning we're going to have so much time to work followed by so much time to rest. Okay, so Tabata is a 20-second work period followed by a 10-second rest period. And today, if you decide and want to participate with us, we're going to do 3 rounds of that for 5 different movements. So we're going to do, again, to start, and I'll have Kelsey demonstrate. So we're going to start with just a basic chair squat. So we're going to just sit down into our chair, and we're just going to stand back up. You're going to do as many of those repetitions that you feel comfortable doing or that you can do in the 20-second period, and then you'll rest for 10 seconds. We will repeat that 2 more times. Then we are going to move into, we have on here a chair push-up. Depending on the height of the chair you have, I would like to switch that to a wall push-up. So we can bring ourselves to a wall or a countertop, anything that's about chest height or waist height. And then we're just going to draw the elbows down and back as we lean into the wall and then press back out. One of the main things we want to focus on when we're performing a push-up is also our core. Think about hugging your belly in towards your spine. That way the core stays nice and strong as we're pressing through the arms. Then we'll do that for 3 rounds. Again, the same concept of 20 seconds on, 10 seconds of rest. And then we're going to move into some chair dips. So again, couple options here, dips being one of the kind of harder movements. Our first option would be just to press into the chair and try to hold ourselves by our hands with our butt still hovering over the chair, holding that for maybe the entire 20-second period and then resting for 10 seconds. If we feel that we have the strength to bring our butt off of the chair, then we can start working towards dipping the butt down towards the ground, bending in the elbow and pressing back up. No need to go super deep here. We're just looking for maybe eventually the shoulder to get in line with the elbow. Again, a great starter for this, because again, this one can be a little bit more challenging, is just working on the ability to put all of your weight into your hands. So again, just holding that locked out position. Then we are going to move into chair assisted lunges. So standing standing behind the chair, we can first just work on stepping back and spreading the legs, not dipping down. Okay, so that's a balance thing there. Separating the legs can be a huge balance work. Stepping back and then just alternating, stepping forward, stepping back. If we feel comfortable, we can then add the knee bend. So once we step back, we bend the knee, eventually working towards hopefully getting that knee to the ground. Stepping forward, stepping back. Again, you can modify this as much as you need, again, by just stepping back, bending the knee slightly, or again, eventually working the knee all the way to the ground. And then finishing with a little bit of core work. So sitting in the chair, doing like what we would do on the floor called a Russian twist. So first option would be just sitting here and just working on rotating the body, twisting side to side. If that becomes easy, we could then think about leaning back in the chair and trying to lift the knees off the ground. First thing could be just maybe holding this for 20 seconds. Even, yep, Kelsey's demoing a good thing of lifting one leg, just one leg, and then lifting the other. And then if we get comfortable with holding, we could even work on twisting from there. So lots of ways to, again, modify, but then also make these movements a little bit more challenging. So if anybody would like to join us, yeah, we're just gonna, and actually we'll just do 1 round to make it a little bit easier, since again, we don't really have a background on how much people have been moving. If anybody would like to join us on screen, and I think Bonnie's gonna join us here in class. So again, we're gonna start with the squats, guys. So again, we're just gonna go, let's do at least 2 rounds so that we get the rest. We're gonna just do 2 rounds of each movement, starting with the squats. So again, we're gonna work for 20 seconds, and then we're going to rest for 10 seconds. If anybody would like to join us. Going, you have it. Yep. 2, 1, and squat. So again, we just sit down and stand up. If you need to use your hands to help you stand up, you can even use your hands.
10 seconds left.
So would your variation of intensity be to increase the number
Of reps?
Yep.
Yes. So great question. Yes, you can start and rest. So we'll do 1 more round of squats. So yes, you can start by keeping track of how many reps you do. And then yes, if you repeat this workout, the goal would then be to increase your reps when you do it. Or another way to increase intensity would be to up the
Number of rounds.
well, not number of rounds, or then also making the movement more challenging. So you could eventually get to where maybe you lose the chair.
And rest.
Or
Nice
then
job.
Add weight, things like that.
We're moving to chair push-ups.
Yes, chair push-ups or wall push-ups. Next movement.
Go out a wall. Yeah, Bonnie, there you go. Just slight bend, or you can go
And
into a
focus
90-degree angle. There you
focus
go.
on the core, keeping the belly tight.
Now, should their feet be flat on the floor when they're doing
No.
that?
You can come up onto, so when you lean in, you will come up onto your toes.
Rest.
And we're gonna give you guys a great resource at the end where you'll have a place where you can go to get video demos and ideas for workouts for at home.
Second round. Yes, so sometimes you might be able to do a lot of reps, and other times you might be going a little slower, and that's okay.
And
Do
again,
what you
kind of
can.
Going off
And rest.
the question of how do we increase intensity on the push-ups, you could again move to a lower object and then even maybe eventually get to where you're doing push-ups on the floor. There's definite ways to make it harder. Lunges. So again, guys, remember we have the option to just step back. If we're comfortable getting the feet off balance, then we can begin to bend the knee. And if we
Michelle,
have-
could you put them on the big screen so we can see what they're doing?
Oh, sorry about that.
And rest.
And rest, sorry.
I thought we were on the big screen, yeah?
Well, your PowerPoint is.
Oh.
Nope, you're good.
And
back
go,
to the
lunges.
Better?
Here we go. Nice work. Keep it up for 5,
Yes,
Four.
thank you.
3, 2, 1. Rest.
Guys, again, moving into the dips this time, guys. And again, remember the first option for this one was just to press into your chair and feel your body weight in your arms. If that's comfortable, then we can slide off the edge and begin to work at dip down.
Don't do this in a chair that rolls.
Yes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice work. Relax. Excellent. We got people going. Yeah. All right, ready for round 2? And go. Okay. How's it feel, Bonnie?
I mean, it's a challenge.
Yeah. So after you walk the dog, this takes 8 minutes total. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest. Nice job.
All right, guys, last one, our core work. So again, we're just gonna twist. Again, you can twist staying seated. You can make it harder by lifting the legs. Again, just work on that full rotation. Feel that spine twist side to side.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now Bonnie's on the unfortunate disadvantage that we can see her, so I'm going to cue to Bonnie. Instead of trying to move your legs too, try to keep your knees forward and just rotate your upper torso. Yes, so that's going to bring those deeper core muscles. Those are your yoga muscles. Mula Bandha. There you go. Almost there. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice job. So that's it. We're going to stay and do a little yoga to cool down. All right. So just take a deep breath. Sit down in your chair. Nice. And even if you weren't able to join us for the workout, maybe there's something here for you. So take a nice deep inhale, circle your right arm out and up. And then on the exhale, lean to the left. Take a big deep breath in, reach more through the right fingertips and press down a little more through the right hip. Yeah, so you feel a stretch in your rib cage. Take a deep breath in here. And as you exhale, release your right arm back down. Inhale your left arm out and up. Reach. Again, we're lifting through the fingertips and then rooting down through the left sit bone. Reaching over to the right. Nice big deep breath in. And then exhale, release. Good, adding a twist. Take the right hand to the left, or left hand to the right knee rather, and then start to twist. You don't even have to touch the back of your chair. You could bring the right hand to the back of the hip, but if you have a chair with a back, you could reach around for the back and twist a little deeper. Take a few breaths. So important to cool down after you work out. Nice deep inhales and deep exhales. Good. Slowly come back to center. Engage your core as you come back. And then take that on the other side. So right hand to left knee. Left hand just moves down to the low back. Yeah. Good. So Joni, take your right hand and put it on your leg.
Yeah, Catherine, that's what she's talking about. Take it across your body. There you go.
Yeah. And then you can use that other hand to twist. You got it. You're doing great. Nice. Take a nice deep breath in here. And then exhale. Strong core as you come back to center. Take your right leg out. And maybe already just by flexing the leg and extending it, you feel some work. Otherwise, you could slide the hands down the leg or a little forward fold. Really press into this left foot for some support. And then see if you can feel a hinge of the hips as they move forward and down.
How straight is the leg?
However straight you're comfortable with, but from this angle, you could straighten the leg quite a bit. Just make sure you're not locking the leg out. If you need to keep it at a bend to protect the hamstring from overstretching, you can, Sharon, but I think straight leg would be available the most. One more inhale. And then exhale, slowly come back up and we'll switch sides. So the right foot comes down to the ground, left leg straightens. You're really pressing in the heel to protect the knee joints and slide the hands down the leg. Important to keep breathing as you do these stretches. One more inhale. And then exhale, come back to center. We're going to do two more things. The first being a hip opener. So the first option is just to step your right foot outside of the chair. So the left hip is still forward. The right leg and hip is now rotating until you feel a stretch in the inner thigh and in the outer hip. Or if that's available and you want to try something a little more challenging, take the right ankle to the left thigh and then see how that feels. And eventually maybe you put a little pressure on the right inner knee and that'll really open up the hip. Oh yeah. Even if you just did it 3 hours ago. Good. Take another inhale here. And then exhale, slowly come back and release your right foot down. Again, either take the left knee and toes out while the right knee and toes stay forward. And you could apply a little pressure on the inner knee there too. Or take the left ankle to the right thigh. And begin to hinge forward, pressing into the inner knee. There's always a variation. There's always a way to work every part of the body, no matter what level, fitness level you're in. Good. Take one more inhale. Exhale, slowly release. For this last one, I'd like to get up real quick and come to the back of our chairs. This is also wonderful for, and I'll just have you do it, Molly. You turn towards your chair and everything towards the screen. This is wonderful for shoulder mobility. So you're going to push your hands into the top of the chair, start to step the feet back, until the head comes between the shoulders and the hips press back towards the back wall. This is a down dog using a chair. The other option, if it's not possible for you to get up from the chair, is to turn the palms towards the front of the room and slowly reach your fingertips forward and up. It doesn't matter if you can just go halfway, you can go a little more or a little more to start to work the range of motion in your shoulders. Good. Hold this for 3 more breaths. Yes, you're doing great, Catherine. Yeah. And maybe your pet comes over. That's great. Aww. I do a lot of virtual yoga now, and I get to see all my students' pets, and it's so fun. Take 1 more inhale. Exhale, slowly release by pressing the hands down into the chair, lifting the head, and then slowly walking forward. Nice. So there's your workout for the day. Yeah. Go ahead and get back into your seats or wherever you were. Any questions about what we did? Could you do more than maybe you thought you could? Or did you need a modification that we didn't offer you? Because we have it. We will give it to you.
What do they do if they have like arthritis problems? So some of them have like knee injuries. Okay, how do you modify for a knee injury? Or a lot of people have rotator cuff problems that, you know, range of motion is painful. How do you fix that?
And the movements that we just showed you, so especially for a squat, okay, so again, putting something underneath you is going to be a great tool if you are suffering from a hip or a knee injury. That's going to give you a lot of assistance. The higher that chair is, the easier that squat will be. Same thing if you're someone who lacks range of motion in your knees, or maybe you get a lot of pain if you go too far down in your squat. Again, upping up the height of your chair is really going to help you with that.
So you could stack books, you could go to a bar stool instead of a regular chair. If your bed is higher than a chair, that could work. You can get a little creative with things around the house.
Yeah, same thing goes with the pressing, the push-up motion. Again, the higher you are, the more elevated you are, the easier that push-up is going to be. It's going to take out less range of motion than the lower that we go. So eventually, you know, again, if we were to get on the ground, is going to make that push-up easier. Again, the source I'm going to give you at the end, guys, a place where you can go to find creative ways to do workouts. Not only does this website post a workout every day that you can do at home, but it also has a library of movements that breaks it down, shows you demos, shows you scaling options, shows you ways to make the movement more challenging, like how we talked about finding various things at home to maybe add weight or things like that. So it is a great resource for finding a way to work out at home.
Just always finding your edge. So like you were talking about range of motion. So if this is as high as you can lift your arm right now, totally fine. You'll do that and you'll repeat it until you can slowly start to lift a little higher. You know, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take consistency and dedication, but you can always work with what you've got. And that's our passion. We're starting where people are. You know, you don't have to come into the gym already physically fit. You don't need to come into the yoga studio already flexible. That's why we're here, is to help you no matter where you are. Any other questions from anyone at home?
And again, these are just a handful of movements. Again, there's multiple other, or lots of other things out there that you can do. And again, this is just one style of workout. So where we were doing interval work, again, you can change things up by picking a time frame and doing so many reps. Or again, I love this website that I'm going to share with you guys. It's a CrossFit based website, but again, it's going to give you a lot of what's the word for a lot of options, yes, to work with.
So now we kind of want, yeah.
Okay, you guys had it set on your phone to help you figure out is that a different kind of app? Because I've not seen that ever on my phone.
Yeah, so this is it's called Timer. It's just a timer app, and it literally just looks like right here. Yeah, it literally just looks like a little clock, black and white. But if you just type in Tabata timer, T-A-B-A-T-A, timer, or interval timer, like that's what you're looking for. And then you just set the intervals to whatever you wanted. Like we did 20 seconds work and 10 seconds rest. You could do 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds rest, 1 minute on, 1 minute off. Bonnie, I use this all the time on my walk runs. I'll set it. I started, so I had a baby a little over a year ago. And when I finally, wanted to get back out there and try to start running, I didn't just go for a jog. I walked 2 minutes and then I ran for 1. And then I got to the point where I could walk for 1 and run for 2. And then I got to the point where I could go out for my normal jog. So that's, the way we work into it. And that's something you could do with your push pace. Like, so you could start, 30 seconds or 1 minute at your base pace. You could take it to 1 minute at your push pace, and then 30 seconds to all out pace. Yeah. So that's kind of what we wanted to do next, was with the information you guys gave us about how you're working out, is how to take these 3 tips of making it functional, varying the work, and varying the intensity. So I've kind of given Bonnie some ideas on varying the intensity. Varying the work, Bonnie, could be the distance. You could play a little bit with distance.
So we were talking interval, doing, but then there's also, it's not only is it important to do interval work, but it's also important to do duration work. So like Kelsey said, she got back the ability where she could run for a long period of time. That is just as important as she probably still does interval work, where she goes out and pushes her pace and then rests, and then pushes her pace and then rests. Again, it's the changing of the stimulus that helps keep the body guessing to where it doesn't adapt and you're always seeing changes. So again, time, repetition, and load are the 3 ways that you can always change your intensity. Doing things, without a load or with load. Doing things at low repetitions, then high repetitions. Doing things for long durations of time and then short durations of time. That's always going to keep the body moving and changing. Yes.
And then you're already making it functional. Walking is a very functional movement, obviously, but how could we add a little more function in there if you wanted to? Is, where do you walk? Do you walk around your neighborhood or a park?
I do, and one of the things I can do is change my route, and I can go to a hill.
Yes.
Or stairs, anything. Yes.
So that's what we were going to talk about, is, even when I'm guilty of doing this. I live right by Deming Park, which is a incredible resource. But I always go the same direction. I realized once I got back out there. So now I go the opposite direction, because on the direction I used to go, I had a big hill, but it was just one. And when I flipped it, I'm going down easily that big hill, but then in the grade, it's just a slow uphill the rest of the way. So even if you're walking through the park, walk the opposite direction. My husband is really great at running. He's great at cardio. He can go out forever, but he hates strength training. So the other day we went out and I said, every time we pass a bench at the park, we're going to do lunges or squats. So you could sit down on the bench, you could get back up 5 times. Stop sign. If you're in your neighborhood, you could just do little air squats. You could hold on to the stop sign and step back.
Every time your dog stops to sniff something, you could stop and do 5 repetitions of something. There's always a way to change it up and keep it creative.
And you don't necessarily have to do that every day, because maybe the next time you go out and you try to go on a little longer walk, maybe you take and push the duration.
I was thinking also I could wear a backpack.
Yeah, you can add weight. Yeah, totally.
Yes.
There's lots of
Rebecca's
options.
got a question. Go ahead,
Rebecca, yep, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Is it okay to run if you don't want to go outside, if it's raining or the weather is bad? Can you just run in place inside and then
So we did
just
that.
intensify it, run faster for a few seconds and then slow down and then.
Yes. So again, that option of, kind of like drawing the knees into the chest, like walking in place, all things that can be done, if you can't get outside or if you don't have access to a treadmill.
And we'll just start so small. So even if it's just as much as picking up your heel or picking up the knee and going forward, it can just be really small. Then that movement can get larger. Then it can get faster. Then it can be, all out pace, right? So if you're thinking, well, gosh, I can't even run in place. It's picking up a foot. You could do the same thing from your chair. You can pick up, switch, 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 go a little faster, lean back a little more core. Anything that's going to get your body moving at a fast pace is going to be, anything that gets your heart rate up, whether it's moving fast or not, eventually you'll get to where you can go faster. but such a good point. If you have stairs in the house,
Yeah,
you wanna-
stairs.
if
Yep,
you
always
get,
good.
if going up the stairs is normally a task that you don't want to do, right? If that's difficult, then maybe you start taking the stairs 5 at a time and then coming back down and then practicing and using that as a thing too. I wanted to point one more thing out that I like about Bonnie's workout, or walking with her dog. I love that she does it twice a day. So she's doing something in the morning and something in the evening. Your workout can be, and I think as people with young children, we are experiencing this a lot right now. We will do 5 minutes one time when we have it, and we'll do 10 minutes a little bit later in the day, and then we'll do another 5 later, and then we'll go on a walk with the kids. And by the end of the day, we've got 40 minutes in. It does not have to be, and in fact, there is some benefits to breaking your workouts up throughout the day into whatever time you do have.
And there are studies out there of even in younger people who maybe go every morning and work out for an hour every day, Monday through Sunday, but then go and sit at a desk from 8 to 5 and don't ever get up and move again. That really, even the hour that they do in the morning isn't doing them that much good because of how long throughout the day they are sedentary. So it's about, again, like we said, moving and moving often. And again, it doesn't have to be super intense. It's noticing that, oh, I've been sitting in this chair for an hour. I need to get up and I need to move and I need to go do something else. I need to walk or
build that into what you're already doing. If you love to watch TV, this is one we try to get our mother to do. She loves to watch Netflix. So it's like, okay, well, Netflix doesn't have commercials. But if you were watching
Switches between episodes.
Yeah, switches between episodes, or I love commercial workouts. Like if I haven't gotten to work out all day and then we sit at home and we're watching some TV, I'm like, okay, every time a commercial comes on, you could even just stand up and stand for the duration of the commercial and then sit back down. You could do some of those movements that we just showed you. Every commercial, you could do a different one of these movements. If you like to read, every time you get to a new chapter, stand up, take a walk around the house or take a walk around the kitchen island. Build it into what you're already doing. If you like to knit or, anything, just make it a point to say, okay, when this happens, I'm going to do this. And you create a link in your brain and it's going to start to create a habit, and that'll just get you moving and moving often.
So what, I'm understanding you to say that 3 10-minute workouts is just as effective as one.
There's different benefits to it. One of the great benefits of breaking up your workout is you can work really hard probably for 10 minutes versus you can only work at maybe a moderate pace for 30 minutes. So if you work very hard for 10 minutes and then rest for 2 or 3 hours or even 6 hours until your evening walk, you bring your heart rate way up and then you let it rest and get back down all the way to even or all the way to resting. And then you do that again. That's very good for your cardiovascular system and for a lot of other systems. That's called HIIT training, high intensity interval training. So you can just do short bursts of work throughout the day. But vary it. So then one day maybe you do go out for that 30-minute walk. Cool. And David and Sharon, you guys both, you're in really good hands with your
So I'm
fitness
assuming they
classes.
probably already talked, especially Sharon. I'm assuming Sharon and your working with your physical therapist. I mean, I'm sure they probably have already talked to you about how, when you first started working with them, it being 5 to 10 repetitions, and then once that becomes easy, bumping it up to 10 to 15 repetitions. You're probably working with bands, David. I bet in your weights, they probably have 2.5s, 5s, 10s, and again, they tell you, start with something that can get you to this many repetitions. Once that becomes easy, either we up the repetitions or we up the weight. Again, that's how we can constantly push that intensity aspect of our workouts. And again, just like as you said, Bonnie, keep the body guessing. It's not gonna just know that like, okay, I'm gonna do 10 reps, for the rest of my life. Like, no, there's room to grow, room to change.
So often we'll be places together and we see people trying their very best to do something good, and they are. For instance, like if we're at MCL and we see people walking the laps, that is amazing. But every time we're there, we see the same people walking the same laps, doing it the same way. And we just wish, we would never stop somebody and say, how you could do that a little more efficiently. But that's really what we wanted to share with you guys today. Or, the same thing with the park. If you're walking the same, do the opposite. Incorporate stopping at a bench.
And then also realizing too that the monotony of doing the same thing over and over again can also cause us to stop doing it, thinking like, oh, this has gotten boring, or I'm not feeling any benefits from this anymore. So having resources to find ways to change up your workouts can just
keep it new.
And keep, again, especially if we're doing things on our own, it can keep things a little bit more entertaining.
I would love to know if there's any more questions regarding maybe you feel a little more comfortable with, talking about how you're currently moving, even if it's that's nothing. Do you feel like you have the knowledge and feel empowered enough to now change it up a little bit or to start? Because we can take questions. I think we have time. We've got almost 20
Jerry, I
minutes.
know she has questions.
Okay.
I can see her unmuting herself. You're still muted, Jerry. Unmute.
Yeah, yes. You did a really fine job of explaining to us why we need to exercise and all of the benefits of it and so forth. And I really appreciate that. And that all by itself should be a motivation. Unfortunately,
A but.
unfortunately, that's lots of syllables, more than just a but you're right. Staying motivated, and especially staying motivated at this time. Do you have any ideas for motivation? And let me just explain that, as David mentioned with the water aerobics class, one of the things that has kept me motivated is having an appointment, something that I really have to do. I've committed to doing it. I'm probably paying for it. But with the pandemic, that's not happening. But so many fitness places have gotten closed down. My personal trainer, no, it's not happening. How can we stay motivated?
So I'll take this. So sure, I'm the same way. I own.
We just sat and talked about this at lunch.
I own a gym, and I could go there any time of the day and do my workout, but I still go to classes. You need the accountability. You need the people, the engagement. So my best advice to you is the buddy system. Find a buddy. You guys clearly seem to have the ability to work Zoom. There's even FaceTime. I don't know what kind of cell phones you guys have, but find a buddy, set a time, even though you can't be in the same space, video in and work out together. That is a huge, way. And I think sometimes one of the only ways that keeps me motivated is I, find a friend or someone that I can be like, okay, I know that this person is expecting me to Zoom with them or call them at 6 a.m. and we're going to do this workout together, and it holds you accountable. And then seeing that person on the other side of the video then also can motivate you a little bit. So that's one of my great ways that I've told people, and that's one of the ways we kept our clientele when we had to shut down during this pandemic motivated as well. As we did Zoom classes together, even though we weren't in the same room, and you still have a sense of that person is on the other side of that screen, doing the same thing that I'm doing.
I'll add two things to that. One is, I see some of you guys maybe taking notes. I don't know if you send the PowerPoint to them or not, but if you're feeling at all motivated right now, or even on your note page right now that you have in front of you, why are you feeling motivated right now? Maybe it was a few pieces of information that we gave you that you could jot down. Maybe it's that you now have other options, other resources that you can use. Get down to your why. Are you exercising because you want to be around for your family longer, because you want to be healthier during the pandemic so that, you don't find yourself with a low immune system? What is your why?
And then goals.
Remind yourself of that every single time. And reminding yourself of that every morning when you're making your workout plan, like whether you're going to go to class or whether you're going to do something at home. You can always go back to that same why. So make it something that's like the big why, not I want to lose 5 pounds or I want to, like get stronger. So it's for a family, it's for your overall health, it's so that you can tie your shoes again, or so that you can sit and stand from your chair by yourself without using your hands, like tie it to something tangible. And then the last thing I would say is also get rid of all or nothing thinking. Get rid of, especially right now, we all have to just go with the flow right now. We never know, things are changing constantly, and I'm a control freak, so this has been tough for me. But don't think, oh, the gym closed down, or even my teacher maybe has quarantined, so we can't do it for the next 2 weeks. That doesn't mean that for that hour that you already had blocked off, you don't do anything at all. You could do 10 minutes. You could go do something else for an hour. You could call up one of your friends and do this workout that we just showed you through Zoom. It's not all or nothing.
Something is better than nothing.
Yes. Does that help, Sherry?
Yes, that does help. You also mentioned, I think, Kelsey, that you're doing virtual yoga classes. Is that right? Could you send us information about that?
Sure. We do all of our classes virtually. We do have a gentle yoga right now that's on Thursdays at 1:30 that you could attend virtually. I know the Maple Center is doing a lot of classes virtual. I think they're doing classes still virtually, and they offer some wonderful different chair yogas and different things like that. And we're going to get to some resources too for you that will give you things that you can do online as well. Okay. Any other
Thank you.
questions? You're so welcome. Okay. Do we want to go to this? Okay. So let's go over these resources that we want to share with you.
Might have to pass the screen.
Did we mess with what? Oh, is it still on us?
No, I gotta switch back.
You do have to.
You're on your PowerPoint. I gotta find your mouse. I'll try.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Okay, so this is, and this will come up on, I think, can they see that now?
Yep.
Okay.
So guys, this was, so this is a CrossFit based website, but it's all about at home fitness. You can see on the website, they have a menu bar at the top. It has an option for all, but then it has meals, movements, and workouts. So the workouts would be a place where you could go to find kind of a style of what we showed you today, like a Tabata workout or a rounds workout or something. Again, it has a video where it breaks down all the movements for you. It gives you options. It shows you ways that you could add resistance training to it by finding things in your house that you can use. And then if you get to the point where maybe you like to get creative and start doing your own movements, it gives you a video of a library of thousands of videos of just single video breakdowns of a single movement versus an entire workout. So it's a great resource for, being at home, not having access to a gym, and then also not having access to a trainer or a class. And it's free, doesn't cost anything.
Here's some resources for different chair yoga and then a gentle yoga practice. And it had been a while since I had actually gone out and I just searched chair yoga and then I searched gentle yoga. There's every time I go and do a talk like this, there's always so much more available. Like it's out there. People are just putting it out there for free. You might have to sift through some things. You might have to get partway through a class and realize I don't really like this instructor or the style, and then find something else, but it is out there. Yeah, and then I'll add our website on there as well, so that you can find.
That when this pandemic is hopefully over at some point, again, guys, just can't emphasize enough that Common Ground really is a place for everyone. My youngest client is 5, and my oldest client is 78, and they come to classes. And again, that 5-year-old might be in a class with as old as 12 to 13-year-olds, but my 78-year-old can be in a class with someone as young as 18 to in the middle of that 30-40 range. So all doing the same getting the same stimulus, but it just might look a little different for each individual. So it really can be for everyone.
And I think too, we are kind of good examples of you've got to find what you enjoy doing. It really does need to be something you enjoy. For me, my gateway into fitness was yoga, and then wanting to be able to do yoga better brought me into strength training and weight training. And then moving home and doing this with Molly and working out every day in CrossFit, I just told her the other day, 'cause I want to touch a barbell, like I miss it. So it'll snowball and it can grow into a love of something else, but you've got to start with something that you actually enjoy doing. So if that's walking your dog, if that's, doing those different things when you are reading a book or watching TV, just start small, feel the changes, those happy chemicals that go to the brain, the strength that you're gaining, even maybe the sore muscles. We hear that a lot, like people are like, I'm just so sore. That's good. That means you're working and things are changing. And we will note right now too, that also means you need to move that day, because it's only going to get better through moving a little more. But yeah, and on our website, you can find our email addresses, our phone numbers. Sharon or whoever, if you need some motivation one day, call us up. We'll give you a pep talk. We might need one too. Yeah.
And did I hear some of you guys are at Westminster, right?
I didn't see
Yes.
night in today, but I have, like I said, I have a feeling that they have kind of
Locked down a little bit.
Well, yes, but I'm at Westminster.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She's in a villa.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, so because they have phenomenal, I don't know if you're able to get to their workout center, that you can't do that, right? Yeah, I know that. I know one of the ladies that works there, and so yeah, if that's intimidating you, I guess I encourage you. I know right now because of the pandemic, maybe you're not able to get to those classes, but if before or even after, it was a fear thing or an intimidation thing, I encourage you to really try to, break through that barrier and give it a chance. Because again, the community aspect of going to a group class can really make a change in your motivation.
And also, we keep saying and adding different things, but Sharon, knowing that these are kind of difficult times, and there might be times when you're at home, again, not knowing exactly what you're doing in your ABS classes, but jot a few things down. Like if there's something that you really like that you could do at home, jot that down so that you can remember it. And then on a day when you can't get there, something happens, you find some other barrier, you can go to, okay, I can do this. I guess what I'm trying to say is a lot of times people say, well, I can't get to yoga, and if I can't get to classes, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, you've been coming for 5 years, you know it. Trust the knowledge that you have within you, and repeat some of that stuff. As much as I don't want to put us out of the job, you don't always need us. So know that you have the power to do something at home. I have not been going to the CrossFit side just because I've been focusing on my classes right now during the pandemic, but I still look up her workouts every day, and then I do them at home. I find some way. Now, sometimes it might look totally different. I might just be taking the duration. Like she said, okay, we're going to do 3 movements, 5 times, 20-minute caps or something like, and I'll just take that little idea and do what I can at home. I now know what I have available. So you can do it. I think we've talked y'all's ear off.
Okay, questions.
We've kind of done questions throughout, but
Okay, anybody have any other questions?
how about anybody share? Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say how much I enjoyed this presentation and the wonderful ideas that you've given me. I'm going to put them into my repertoire as it is, and try to be more motivated. I've got somebody here that will do that.
Yes, there you go.
Buddy, I'm telling you, the buddy system works.
Yeah.
Find yourself a buddy.
Would anybody else, if you don't have questions, and if you do, that's fine, share those as well, but anybody else have kind of an aha moment or some new piece of information that you didn't have before? I think sometimes sharing that will help other people to kind of rehear as well, something that that you learned?
This isn't an aha moment, Molly, and I don't mean this to sound like, can you top this? But Kelsey had a client who was 88. So when you talk about you're never too old, Kelsey definitely experienced that with
Yeah,
my husband.
It is. You're not.
And send him my best.
I'll definitely do that.
I love it.
She would love to have it. That's a challenge. Somebody needs to go over to CrossFit. It's over 88.
They're out there. They're just not at my gym.
Yeah, we'll find. We're good. Anybody else?
Well, my aha moment today was I exercised almost every single day. But, and I vary my exercises, but I'm not changing my intensity. And I do it almost the exact same time, every single night, the same way, everything.
Yeah.
Consistency and intensity.
And I don't get sore anymore.
Yeah.
So you have the consistency down.
Yeah.
Now it's the intensity.
I have now just realized that I have become extremely lazy. So
No.
Well, and then
I
on
will
days,
change my exercise around.
and then on days when you get down there, I don't know if it's a treadmill or like whatever you're doing, and you don't feel like I don't have it in me to do some crazy intensity, then go with the consistency. At least get on there. You know, it's not all or nothing. Yeah. And start if you can't exercise at home or you're going to do something at home. I say start with 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, I'm talking about if you don't want to do it. If you're like, I'm really not in the mood to exercise today, start with 5 minutes. And then if after 5 minutes you want to quit and you want to go back and sit down, go for it. But I guarantee you're going to stay up and do a little bit more and a little bit more. Same with if you can go out, just get yourself and say, I'm just going to drive to the gym. And if I drive to the gym or drive to my class and I still don't want to go, I'll turn around. But you won't. You'll go in.
All right, any other questions, any other comments anybody wants to make before we're done today? I can't thank you guys enough. This has been great.
We love this
You've
stuff. Yeah.
made me rethink everything, and Sherry and so many of them have been great about doing the exercise stuff that we've been doing, and I would send out, even before they even opened campus back up, exercise links, but I was struggling to find new links to send, so I
Now
appreciate
you have them.
your
Absolutely.
information. Anything else before we're done today?
So you've recorded this, right, Michelle? So
I
we can,
have
and you'll
recorded
post
this.
it? Great. Okay. Well, just to second what David said, thank you all very much.
Yeah, and
Well,
thank
thank
you
you
guys.
guys.
This
Thank
is
you.
motivation
Appreciate
for
it.
us too. And thank you, Michelle. I don't know if you guys have seen what she does behind the scenes here with all this, but it blew my mind. So thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. You take care.
Have a good
and,
day.
we'll see you
Thanks,
next